Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to episode 232, celebrating almost 6 years on the air. Here's to another exciting episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for tuning in every Saturday night and engaging with me on social media thereafter. It truly makes it all worthwhile. Please continue to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. XENSAMS. And remember, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on our YouTube channel. We upload Sundays at 2 p.m. via digital streaming. And you can also check us out on your home TV platform directly on our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. It's absolutely free programming to you. No apps, no download needed. Today in the We Play It Forward series here in A Moment of Zen, we're chatting Saving Soldiers, Saving Minds, from battlefield to breakthrough. It's a conversation about how cutting-edge brain science is rewriting the story of America's veterans. With expert on the microphone, Dr. Philip Fina. He's a neuropsychologist and cognitive neuroscientist with over 40 years of experience in advancing brain therapeutics. He served as Associate Professor of Neurology and Psychiatry at NYU School of Medicine in Bellevue, and today leads programs like Save a Soldier and the Veterans Advanced Care Program. In the Clean Collective segment, proudly supported by Society Brands and Cleanomic, we're joined by co-founder and CEO of Society Brands, Shawn Dougherty. Joining her is Philip Kraus. He's brand president of Cleanomic, the mission-driven company revolutionizing household staples like compostable zip bags and plastic-free laundry strips to make your home cleaner for both people and planet. Today's conversation, you guessed it, how Cleanomic is making your household eco-smarter, safer in the simplest ways possible. In our health tip of the week, brought to you by Suspera, today we're discussing how after months of sun exposure, now is a great time to assess your skin for changes. I'm going to go over some simple tips and tricks that could go a long way. In CO2 Lift's Going Deep Express segment, New York City dermatologist Dr. Amy Lewis breaks down CO2 Lift as one of her go-to simple and affordable treatments. In our Fintech TV exclusive segment, Sagar Sheth joins me at the New York Stock Exchange to discuss how he's leading Roth Capital Partners as the industry evolves and how they're putting people and human interaction first. In the Hydration with Heart Express segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, Emily Hayden, podcast host, mentor, and personal coach, chats about creating a deep, loving relationship with yourself. And in the Brain Blueprint Express segment, Joanna Escarelli, the mother of 3 neurodivergent children, shares her life-changing journey with world-renowned brain researcher and clinician, Dr. Robert Melillo, and his Melillo method. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be back right after this with Shawn Dougherty and Philip Kraus.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Westbridge Academy in Essex County, where students are seen, heard, and understood. Neurodiverse K-12 students, many facing ADHD, anxiety, depression, or aggression, discover strength through connection. With compassionate educators, therapeutic support, and the latest technology, students can master academics and go further, exploring music production, financial and automotive literacy, social media awareness, and wellness. Visit westbridgeacademy.org to learn more.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Right here, debuting in the Clean Collective segment, we have one incredible brand, Cleanomic. Now, if you had an iPhone back in the 2000s, chances are a sleek Mophie charger pulled you back from the dead. I know it did for me. That iconic juice pack saved countless phones on low battery. The brainchild behind today's guest is Shawn Dougherty. From growing Mophie into a $250 million global powerhouse across 130 countries, 30,000 stores, and being Apple's first ever made for iPhone partner, she's redefined what accessories can actually become. And now she's doing it again as co-founder and COO of Society Brands, scaling wellness-first, low-tox products with real, actual purpose. Joining her today is Phil Kraus. He's brand president of Cleanomic, the mission-driven company revolutionizing household staples like compostable zip bags and plastic-free laundry strips to make our home cleaner for both us and our pets. And today's conversation, how Cleanomic is making your household eco-smarter, safer in the simplest ways possible. Welcoming now to the show are Phil Kraus and Shawn Dougherty. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Thank you so much, Zen. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Phil, we're going to start with basic things like zip bags, because every year over 100 billion plastic bags are tossed in the U.S. I mean, if you think of it and put that into perspective, that's enough to circle the planet 700 times. And even worse, they're laden with, chemicals, phthalates, endocrine disruptors. I mean, that leaches into our food, including those BPAs. Those are extremely toxic, not to mention microplastics found in breast milk, urine, even brain tissue. Now, Cleanomic's compostable zip bags, they've soared in popularity. So what's finally clicking with consumers?
When you just look at the stats released by EPA, 91% of the plastic you recycle doesn't even get recycled. It just gets thrown out into additional garbage bins, right? Only like 4 to 9% of the plastic we put in that blue bin at home actually makes it and becomes recycled. It's just a huge problem. Not only that, as you said, 100 billion plastic bags are being used per year. That is around like one bag per person in the United States every day. And it's obscenely wasteful, right? So we're using billions of bags. 91% of it never gets recycled. It's going into landfills. It's going into the ocean.
Into our bodies?
Into our bodies. Like, don't even get me started on the chemicals. I mean, the phthalates that you're mentioning, the BPAs, are all linked to these terrible things like lowering testosterone in men, right? You can see there was a study they did in Boston Bay area in 1984 where they just took the entire population of men in that area, measured their testosterone levels, and they took another test 20 years later, and it's seen like there's been a generational decline in testosterone in men. It's like 25% decline over a 20-year period. And it's all linked to endocrine disruptors. And those chemicals, they're phthalates.
Forever chemicals.
Phthalates is essentially added to plastic to make it flexible. So think like shampoo bottles, like conditioners, this type of stuff. Phthalate makes plastic bendable and flexible, right? And just having like nanograms, it's not even much, right? It's not even grams, it's nanograms could affect your testosterone, affect your fertility. In women, it's affecting like lowering the quality of eggs. And it's just these.
It's definitely all interlinked. And it's powerful knowing something as everyday as sandwich bag can carry so much impact. And I love that you've kept the function and convenience minus the underlying toxins. So kudos to you, my friend. Now, Shawn, I'm going to pivot to you on Cleanomic and scaling mission brands. Your playbook of scaling iconic consumer products is truly legendary. People who don't know you should know you. So what made you align with brands like Cleanomic, and how does your global tech brand strategy translate into building clean living consumer products?
I definitely think it's just a change in a chapter, right? I look back at the juice pack days, and I'm not necessarily proud of all of the batteries I put in the landfills. And in retrospect, we need to take care of ourselves, what we put in, on, and around our body, and it needs to be clean and toxic free. Whether it's the old days of MOFI and the European Union with EMF coming to that realization way before we did, we just seem to be really behind the times, and it's hurting us, and it's hurting the people we love, it's hurting our pets, and it's hurting our planet. And Cleanomic is a perfect candidate to help scale. I think the world needs the product. I think the efficacy of the product is great, and I think it's having a huge global impact.
Now, Phil, I'm going to talk about Earthwash laundry strips versus our traditional detergent. The U.S. has 700 million plastic detergent jugs alone hit landfills annually. Okay, that's enough plastic to circle the earth 5 times. And most conventional detergents, well, nearly 90% water, packaged in bulky jugs in need of disposal. So Earthwash offers that lightweight, dissolvable strip from cardboard instead of jugs, which I love. How do they perform compared to traditional detergents? And how do they protect sensitive skin and allergy-prone families.
You know what sets Earthwash apart from everything else is it's all made with natural earth ingredients. It's a plant-based enzyme formula. So we dehydrate literally a sheet of soap. And it just makes it way more convenient, right? We can mail it directly to your door. It weighs like half a pound. And you can get months worth of laundry just using these little paper sheets. Traditional detergents, as you said, it's 90% water, 10% soap. I mean, alternative laundry formats like the Tide Pods, those films that hold all the soap together in a Tide Pod don't fully decompose, and they're actually getting flushed through your washer machine into like the ocean, essentially. So it's still contributing to plastic waste. Earthwash, it comes in cardboard packaging. It's 100% recyclable. And it's just the most convenient and healthiest thing you can do for your body. It's kind of a win-win on every single battlefront, if you look at it from that perspective.
So, Shawn, let's talk brand strategy and long-term vision. So handling consumers better options without overwhelming them, that's essentially society brand secret sauce. You've said clean living should feel like an upgrade, not a burden, many times. So what's your long-term vision for society? How do you plan to expand this clean living portfolio beyond zip bags and laundry strips and leave a lasting cultural legacy? You already have some incredible companies under the hood, but talk to me about what the roadmap looks like.
There's a lot of opportunity for product innovation. I mean, we can just go into our homes and look at everything that comes in and these big boxes taking up this huge global carbon footprint. And one by one, you'll see Silicon Valley-based new product introductions coming out from Cleanomic that really set it apart. And we hope to become the household solution to cleaning and safe products for your family, your children, your pets, and for our planet.
And with your leadership, that future feels not just possible, but imminent because you've clearly paved the way. So,
and a lot of that feedback comes from our consumers, and that's no different than Mophie, right? I mean, we did a lot of product innovation, but it was often just brought to us by multiple requests from our very loyal consumers. And so, at Society Brands, we like to listen to our consumers and let them help us guide our way.
Yeah, no, and you're doing exactly that. Now, Phil, we touched on some of the other health risks earlier, but beyond waste in landfills, the health risks of plastic bags are real. Americans may ingest the equivalent of, I mentioned this earlier, a credit card's worth of plastics and microplastics weekly, and they've been detected in breast milk and placentas and even brain tissue, which is just really alarming. When you think of those numbers, they're staggering. So what are the hidden health costs of using these traditional zip bags for food storage, right? It's one thing to put markers in them, and we're killing the planet doing that. But how does Cleanomic's solution guard users, especially kids and families?
You're right. This is a touchy topic, right? So, like, just to highlight that once again, like, according to WWF 2019 study, the average American is ingesting one credit card worth of plastic a week. So, like, over the course of a year, like, could you actually imagine eating 50 credit cards worth of plastic? Like, it's obscene. It's obscene. And you're getting this all from, plastic leaking into your food, essentially, right? With Cleanomic, what we have done is you said, like, okay, you can still have your convenience and you don't have to worry about all those health risks because it is a plant-based material. And it has a biomatrix formula that basically once you throw those bags away from Cleanomic, they go to landfills and they break down within 180 days. And that formula that we've made the material with, it actually breaks down into nutrient-rich fertilizer. And so it actually promotes health in the soil. Wow. So instead of, poisoning yourself with plastic and contributing to this super bad environmental, crisis that's going on, you can kind of just win on all situations there.
Well,
protect
that's
your health.
empowering because now we can choose to swap in safety without sacrificing convenience,
Exactly.
and we're doing something positive for the planet. So let's chat storytelling and brand differentiation. So Cleanomic isn't just another green brand, right? It's sleek, it's accessible, it's direct to consumer and rooted in smart storytelling, which is very important. how do you position Cleanomic, Shawn, differently from typical eco brands? How critical is narrative in making clean living resonate with modern shoppers?
I think consumers need to be educated. Every product requires some form of education, and this education is just so natural. And I just think it's me educating you, you educating your audience, letting people become familiar with the product. They'll educate the people that they love, and just shouting from the rooftops, "Hey guys, I think we all deserve better, and the planet is our responsibility."
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, Phil, traditional detergents often come with dyes, with parabens and phosphates and basically common irritants, and combined with jugs that clog cabinets and generate waste. It's just inefficient and outdated. I'm going to stress this again. So how does Earthwash deliver that performance on par or better than big brand detergents? And why is it better suited for allergy sensitive households? What makes the ingredients so powerful to cut through stains, but yet so eco-friendly?
I know. I want to challenge the Americans listening to this to flip around their detergent and read off the ingredient list on traditional detergents on the household brands. There's names in there that you cannot even pronounce. Like, it's so complex with the Zides and all these nasty chemicals they're putting in detergent, just because it's the cheapest, effective way to get the product out. It all goes back to Earthwash's formula. It's all plant-based enzymes. And, our consumers can speak for like, the proof is in the pudding. You can see we have like over 50,000 five-star reviews on Earthwash. People are getting the same exact effectiveness without having to sacrifice any of the convenience, without putting all those dangerous chemicals in their laundry. So the proof is in the pudding. It's one of our most loyal products on Earthwash. Once people try it, they don't want to stop.
Now, Shawn, where do you see society brands taking the clean living movement next? I mean, is this your core market? How wide do you envision its impact for founders, consumers, and even culture?
I mean, it's wide. I mean, it's looking for clean and toxin-free products that fit in, on, and around your body. And if you really think about what all of that is, it's so much. It doesn't really stop. I mean, we can tackle it one brand at a time, one consumer pain point at a time, but in one way, shape, or form, in, on, and around is affecting someone you love in a multitude of different ways. And so you're going to see us, partnering with more brands that have more toxin-free products that we believe are negative, are positive. Well, what's out there is negatively affecting the consumer, and what we're bringing in should be able to neutrally affect the consumer, not be all plant-based, not be toxin-free. There are solutions out there for the desires that we have, whether it's cleaning our clothes, whether it's the air quality, whether it's our dental health. And then there's many more fun brands to come in the gates soon that haven't been announced here on iHeart. So I'll wait for those segments. But it's the beginning of a journey, and it's a journey that's just begun.
Wow, that's bold. That's aspirational and so grounded. And it's leadership with heart. And I can see, I can't wait to see where you take it next, but I know it's going to be big. Well, we are at the end of our date, my dear friends. Phil, it was a pleasure getting to know you. You are... I'm so excited to see where you're going to take this, and I have no doubt in my mind that with you behind the leadership and brand president, we're just headed for the stars.
Thank you so much for having us. It's great to be on the podcast.
Shawn, it was a pleasure having you here again.
It's a pleasure being here, Zen.
Thank you, Zen.
If you're ready to switch, whether it's compostable zip bags or detergent strips, you could head to Cleanomic.com/iHeart, and you could check them out on the gram at Live Cleanomic for updates and inspiration. And a huge thank you to our sponsors, Society Brands, for supporting clean living across the board. Until next time, keep it clean, keep it conscious, and keep tuning in right here on A Moment of Zen on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
In business and in life, there's always an upside. Finding it is often the challenge. Having a mindset that looks for it and embraces problems as opportunities is the key to thriving. Finding the Upside with Maria de Lorenzis Reyes explores the transformative power of optimism, featuring visionary business owners, influential leaders, and inspiring everyday people. Tune in and see how they navigate changing conditions with optimism and innovation. Watch the special series One Tough Chick, highlighting resilient and powerful women, streaming on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. You're listening to the We Play It Forward series here on A Moment of Zen, and today's headline is Saving Soldiers and Saving Minds, from Battlefield to Breakthrough. It's a conversation about how cutting-edge brain science is rewriting the story of America's veterans. Here's why this matters. Every day in the U.S., more than 20 veterans die by suicide. It's a devastating reality, often linked to invisible wounds like traumatic brain injury, what they call TBI, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, you've all heard of that, and toxic exposures. Studies also show that nearly 1 in 3 combat veterans, report PTSD symptoms, and upwards of 40% of those exposed to blast injuries or burn pits develop long-term neurological dysfunction. Now, joining me is Dr. Philip Fina. He's a neurophysiologist and cognitive neuroscientist with over 40 years of experience advancing brain therapeutics. He's served as associate professor of neurology and psychiatry at NYU School of Medicine and Bellevue Hospital, and today leads programs like Save a Soldier and the Veterans Advanced Care Program. These initiatives provide drug-free, multimodal treatments that research shows can restore brain function up to 86% of traumatic brain injury patients. That's a huge number. Results that far surpass conventional care. Here to break it all down is Dr. Fina. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So let's start with the crisis. The Department of Veteran Affairs reports an average of 6,400 veteran suicides annually, with brain injuries and PTSD being the major contributors. So for many, the standard treatments, medication and talk therapy, aren't enough, right? Your program approaches brain health in a radically different way. So can you walk us through what makes the Save a Soldier protocol quite unique?
The brain is electrical, it's magnetic, it's chemical, and in order to really reset and reorganize mechanisms of brain functioning, we look at all those 3 parameters. So we do a specialized assessment of the electrical system, the magnetic system, the chemical system of the brain. We do specialized types of neuropsychological testing in addition to specialized brain mapping. So in the brain mapping, for instance, we look at the electrical circuits. Those electrical circuits have 3 parameters that we review. One has to do with the power of the signal, the speed of the signal, and how the signal integrates. So once we understand the strengths and weaknesses in electrical brain signal processing, we're able to reboot or reorganize the brain by using electrical stimulation and various other techniques like neurofeedback, etc., to be able to reorganize these electrical circuits. When we reorganize the electrical circuits, it actually regulates the magnetic field, and those processes help to balance the chemistry in the brain.
Wow.
So it's a different process. It's a unique way of looking at how we diagnose, but we also use the same methodology of electrical magnetic stimulation and the use of nutraceuticals and other neurotherapies to treat these individuals as well.
Wow. So you offer a 30-day all-inclusive program that includes hyperbaric oxygen therapy, brain mapping, neurofeedback, IV detox, and even light and sound therapies. I mean, for listeners who may not be familiar with the science, okay, can you break down how these therapies actually rewire or repair the brain?
Over the years, there have been many articles. I produced research, and there's been research around the world that shows how effective hyperbaric oxygen is in reducing inflammatory processes to help promote brain functions, increasing neurons, neurogenesis, increasing blood vessels, angiogenesis, being able to improve mesenchymal stem cells in your body. So hyperbaric oxygen has multiple components which help regulate the electrical and magnetic systems of the brain. Inflammatory processes, as I talked about before, is a major issue with traumatic brain injury, with psychological conditions like post-traumatic stress. Being able to regulate these activities is really seen clinically in many different things: reducing stress, increasing sleep. We actually give our military personnel 2 90-minute sessions, one in the morning and one at the end of the day. And in the interim, they're given many neurotherapies: electrical stimulation, magnetic stimulation, the light and sound therapies, neurofeedback, specialized kinds of customized neurofeedback protocols.
Right.
So the being able to combine multiple modalities simultaneously is a much better regimen than trying to use a medication with minimal main effect and lots of side effects. And
Right.
over time, the main effects diminish and the side effects become greater. So we're doing something where we're naturally looking to reboot the body's own electrical, magnetic, and chemical system without providing a drug that would substitute something, but yet has a lot of other side effects.
Exactly. So I want to move on to something extremely important. Our veterans are often exposed to these toxic environments, right? Burn pits, chemicals, heavy metals. And a study in the JAMA Neurology found that neurotoxin exposure increases the risk of long-term cognitive impairment by nearly 50%, right? So
Sure.
how does your program specifically address these toxic exposures that so many veterans carry home from war?
Okay. Well, there are different types of nutraceuticals that we use. There are various kinds of IV infusions, glutathione, and various things that cleanse the liver. There are certain things that cleanse the kidneys. So we use certain natural nutraceutical products, certain herbs, proper diet, proper sleep, and proper exercise are all important in getting rid of toxins. It's not one thing. It's a combination of things that are utilized together. And by doing that in a systematic way, with good hydration, good nutrition, the ability to select the appropriate types of herbs and nutrients that naturally detoxify the body is extremely important.
I love it. You've built not just a treatment, but a holistic experience: housing, meals, transportation, and peer counseling. I mean, we know that social support can cut suicide risk nearly in half, right? So why was it so important for you to make this program fully immersive and all-inclusive?
Well, it's really important. Veterans coming individually have a different experience than when there's a group process. So we try to bring in 6 to 12 veterans at one time. They interact with each other. We pay for their transportation. We pay for their hotels. And during that time, they make connections with each other. Many of them have experienced the same things. It's really good cathartic release to be able to interface with people who have had similar kinds of issues. So during that month, they develop friendships, they develop a support system amongst them. They're all going through it together at the same time. So having that group philosophy of utilizing that methodology as opposed to independently assessing and treating someone is much more important. The connections they make with each other are very powerful. The fact that they're all going through it together is very supportive to each other, and seeing the changes in themselves as well as the new friends they've made is a very reinforcing component to what's going on.
Absolutely. Healing isn't just clinical, it's relational. And what really stands out is that the Save a Soldier program is completely free of charge, right? That's number one, to veterans and their families. And with healthcare costs often cited as one of the biggest barriers to care, how are you making this possible? And what's your vision for scaling it nationwide? I mean, what have you done here?
Well, we treat over 400 veterans, and the costs can run anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 for the month because of all the different methodologies we're using, all the staff that's involved. It's a big process. So what we do is we don't want veterans to be stressed by not being able to have a service because they can't afford it. So this is done for free. They deserve that. They served our country. They protected our country. I'm a veteran. My daughter's a fourth generation military officer herself, is currently in active duty, and so is a husband. So this is a whole family thing of 4 generations of military in my family. We're part of the 1% that serve. That's a statistic that most people are not aware of. So it's only 1% of the population that serves. And what happens is when you're in the military, especially over the last several decades, due to the limitation of resources, people are constantly sent back and forth to do multiple tours of duty under very stressful situations with very little times in between to reset and reorganize themselves. And these stressors contribute to the entire process. Yeah. So basically, we have limited amounts of personnel that do many, many tours of duty under very stressful conditions and are exposed, as you said before, to toxins, to various forms of traumatic brain injury, to various forms of stress that create post-traumatic stress. And people don't realize it's not only when they're on a mission that they can be exposed to danger that creates brain injury and post-traumatic stress. The training process is so intense. There are many, many injuries during training. So it's the entire process of many years of multiple traumatic brain injuries, concussions, exposure to various stressors, toxins, etc., that accumulate over time and then create devastating kinds of effects, which result in these high suicide rates and the inability for them to really function well within society.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. I mean, eliminating cost completely. It reminds me of the phrase "no veteran left behind," right? And scaling this nationwide could truly rewrite how we as a country fulfill our promise to those who served. So, and the fact that your entire family is embedded makes it even more impactful. Now, Dr. Fina, you've dedicated over 4 decades to brain research in clinical innovation. So with everything you've seen, what gives you the most hope right now for the veterans struggling in silence?
By improving the veteran, you're helping the family. So you're helping the family, which is such a critical component, because oftentimes families get broken apart. There's a lot of separation with military veterans and their wives, et cetera, due to all these stressors. So by helping the veteran, we help the family. And by helping both, we're helping our nation because we want to keep a strong military. That's the premise behind what we're doing. Right. The way we do it is we have a 501c3. We get a lot of contributions from people to try to help the military, various grants, et cetera. We're trying to increase this program by getting the word out to the public so that they understand that all the monies that are used are directed specifically to our veterans to help them. And we have so many that showed the incredible changes in their life, which are amazing. Right. We do an interview when they first join us, and then we do a post-exit interview, and you can see a tremendous amount of change within a 30-day period, which they've never experienced before by simply taking medication and doing some intermittent psychotherapy. So that
warms my heart. That warms my heart. And I love that you capture those testimonials because proof is in the pudding. Seeing is believing, and people do judge a book by its cover. So if you do have that incredible testimony from that incredible combat veteran whose life got transformed via your program, you captured lightning in a bottle. If you do that more than once, you're rolling. So I think you're good. I think you got so much going on, and I'm so excited and so eager to help in any way I can. It's a moving note to end on. Your work is not just saving lives, it's restoring futures. And that's the very definition of what this segment is called, Playing It Forward. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to get the word out to others.
It was such a pleasure sharing your work, Dr. Fina, and your vision with us. And for those listening, you can learn more at Save a Soldier program. If you go directly to their website, saveasoldier.org. And then you can also check them out, Advanced Brain Centers of Virginia. You could go to advancedbraincentersofva.com. And of course, the Palm Beach Hyperbarics, pbhyperbarics.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Follow the work, share the mission, and help us ensure that no veteran is left behind. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Fieldhouse in Northvale, New Jersey. A vibrant and fresh take on youth and adult sports and family fun, and home to the New Jersey Thunder softball program. Plan unforgettable birthday parties or private events, or explore camps and programs that keep kids active and inspired. Take time for yourself in adult leagues or rent a field or court with friends. From a cutting-edge gaming cave to hitting and pitching centers and top-tier sports instructors, the Fieldhouse is reigniting the next generation of play. Head to njfieldhouse.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In the health tip of the week, brought to you by Suspera, today we're discussing how after months of sun exposure, now is that great time to assess your skin for those changes. Look for new spots, changes in freckles, or areas of increased pigmentation. While these changes are often harmless, monitoring them regularly helps catch issues early on. Schedule a professional skin check if you notice anything unusual. Being proactive at the end of summer not only protects your skin long-term, but also reinforces the importance of year-round awareness, not just during beach season. That was the health tip of the week, brought to you by Suspera. Be sure to check them out online at Suspera.com and on Instagram at Suspera. That's Cyspera. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area, live from the iconic New York Exchange right here at Fintech TV. We have such an exciting guest joining us today for the Fintech CEO Spotlight. Now, as the financial world continues to evolve at breakneck speed, from artificial intelligence and digital transformation to regulatory shifts and global market recalibrations, it's never been more critical to spotlight the leadership behind some of Wall Street's most dynamic institutions. Today, I'm joined by Sagar Sheth. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Roth Capital Partners. With over 2 decades in the financial sector, Sagar has held leadership roles at UBS, Deutsche Bank, and most recently MKM Partners, where he served as CEO prior to its acquisition by Roth in 2023. Now, at the helm of Roth, he's driving vision, scale, and culture across all business lines, expanding the firm's market footprint and deepening investor trust in a volatile climate. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the intro. And by the way, what a dynamic environment here at the New York Stock Exchange. Kind of reminds me why I started my career on Wall Street. It was for this. So.
And this is where it all happens. All right, so let's dive in. According to a PwC's 2024 CEO survey, nearly 45% of CEOs believe their companies will not be economically viable in 10 years if they continue on their current path. And yet, leadership isn't just about adjusting the numbers, it's about building trust, culture, and long-term value. So, Sagar, how are you personally redefining what it means to be a CEO in this rapidly shifting environment, and how does that translate to the way Roth Capital is navigating today's, market realities?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, one thing I'll say is, one of the beautiful things about Roth is there's such a rich history at the firm that has worked successfully for so long, 30 to 40 years that this company has been around. So I want to run part of the playbook that I've learned from Byron Roth and my colleagues, where it's an investment bank. We really depend on our relationships. We are a relationship-based firm. I do think that part of the playbook will go on indefinitely in the future. However, I think to not factor in the use of technology and the evolving landscape of AI into some of our business practices would be a mistake. So what are we doing as a firm to prepare for that? We are evaluating so many different types of software systems, ways to make our employees better. But I'll tell you one thing, my fundamental bet is still on the human capital of Wall Street and a human capital of Roth, meaning I believe the technology is going to make the humans better at what they do. I am not worried about my employees being replaced by a robot or by AI. I just think they are going to be superhumans with these tools.
That's such a refreshing take on leadership and balancing that foresight with grounded execution. And I love what you just said about responsibility being more than just fiduciary, right? It's evolving with the times, it's cultural, it's strategic, and it's deeply human. And I think if you are afraid of the advancements in technology and you operate from a place of fear, that's going to trickle right down to every last one of your key players. So I love that you're embracing all this change.
That's right. And I think, one of the best examples I can give about the human being more valuable still than the robot, in our opinion, is that when volatility hits. So when we have a big tweet from anybody and the markets move, our clients want to talk to that human on the other end of the line.
Yeah.
I do think the AI will help us. Maybe it helps prepare us with data and analytics and information. But at the end of the day, our clients still want that human touch.
Now let's shift and pivot inside the modern investment bank. So Roth Capital has long been known for its focus on high growth sectors, from biotech to emerging tech. But what's often overlooked is the human infrastructure that makes it all scalable, which is what we're talking about now. In fact, McKinsey reports that firms with high talent integration outperform competitors by up to 25% in ROE. So since Roth's acquisition of MKM Partners, can you talk to me about what's been the drive behind your focus with these sectors that you're investing in?
Yeah, so you touched on a lot of things. One, I'll say, even before I get into the sectors, it is development of human capital is a key part of the playbook at Roth, meaning we want our employees to get smarter every day. So we surround them with resources, tools, and data to make them smarter, to give them more information, to develop their careers and their skill sets. If we do that, we'll hopefully provide better services and to our clients. But in terms of the sectors that we focus on and how we come up with that, well, one, if we just look at any given company, are the fundamentals of the company solid, and can we help make them more solid? So before I even make any dive into one given sector or industry, it's really about fundamentals of a company. We have views, and those views will change over time, of where we want to place our bets. Is it healthcare? Is it technology? Is it industrials? Is it sustainable investing? But the bottom line is, as an investment bank, we look for fundamentally sound companies that we can showcase for our clients, and that's the bottom line.
Now let's chat why relationships still drive results. So in a world driven by data and digital acceleration, it's easy to forget that relationships still move capital. In fact, a Harvard Business Review study found that nearly 90% of investment decisions at the executive level are still driven by trusted personal networks. So as someone who's operated across both bulge bracket and boutique environments, how have you preserved the relationship first ethos that's long defined Roth, and why does that still matter to you?
One, internally, the way the firm is kind of structured, everybody collaborates together. There's a spirit of entrepreneurship, but there's definitely the element of teamwork in everything we do. And I think the merger with a trading firm kind of shows that, and it showcases that the founder of our firm, Byron Roth, he really felt that, hey, can I bring on more talent, more people in order to make everybody a bit more productive and a bit better? And I think there's been a showcase on that. So we'd be remiss not to speak to each other at the firm, because you're missing out on different products and services. That said, when it comes to the clients, we also use technology to help us with our relationships. We've made massive firm investments into a CRM system and advanced CRM systems. So now my average salesperson, instead of making 25 phone calls, can get an outreach to 100 phone calls in a given day because of the CRM system. But at the end of the day, the CRM is just better connecting us to our clients, keeping us better informed about our clients, showing us changes in their portfolio, showing us changes with their holdings and where they're focusing on. And I think that allows us to service them better. So for us, clients are still the number one focus, but we'll just use technology to help us with that.
Let's talk about CEO positioning, vision, and growth. So since stepping into the CEO role at Roth, your vision has been anything but static, at least in my opinion, from evaluating expansion plays to elevating brand visibility in those competitive markets. So what does strategic growth look like for you in 2025? Talk to me about and beyond. I mean, are there sectors or emerging opportunities you're most bullish on?
I believe there's a tremendous opportunity outside of the US in the markets. You can look at some of the Asian markets as well, and I believe the IPO markets are booming. In India, there could be a boom in China that's coming up with the IPO markets. And I think as a firm, we have our eyes on those areas. And then internally here in the US, one, I do believe through the second half of the year, there's still the trading business and the color that we get from the trading floor, and that part of our segment is going to be huge. Capital markets are open though in the US in 2025. So our investment bank and our core competency, we are going to continue to push the gas pedal on that business. But I do believe that within those, there's still the digital assets. We had talked about that earlier in our conversation. I think that could be an exploding factor here in the US and abroad. But just tons of opportunity both in and outside of the US at the moment.
Now let's talk about the human side of leadership. Behind every sharp market call is a mindset and a method. You've worked across firms with very different cultures, UBS to Deutsche Bank, now Roth. What core leadership philosophy guides you across these environments, and what's one piece of advice you live by when making high-stakes decisions?
I kind of define our culture in one way, and I ask myself, am I fulfilling this? When my employees wake up in the morning, do they want to come to work?
Right. Well,
And I ask that single question every single day that I wake up. And I think about all the reasons why I want to go to work. And I think about if I was any given employee at the firm, regardless of business group or anything, what makes me interested to come to work? And my playbook in culture is to not only answer that question, but fulfill their wishes when they answer that question.
Right.
So is it a dynamic work environment? Is it flexibility? Is it transparency? Is it market intelligence? Is it human development? Is it technology? They want more technology.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that they want to learn? Do they want to be surrounded by good people? Do they need mentors? All these different factors that create culture, we try to instill that into Roth every single day. In terms of high-stake decisions, it's interesting because we work in such an evolving market at this moment. But one thing I'd say is, I think one of the big pressures that comes on a CEO or anybody in charge is like, you're always making the right decisions. Well, I'd say make a lot of great decisions, but you're not going to be right every single time. As CEO, I'm very comfortable with the fact that, unfortunately, I'm probably going to be wrong three out of 10 times, but 7 of them I'm going to get right. And for me, when I look at any decision, whether it's small or big, it's the idea that be comfortable with the idea that you are going to get it wrong at least a few times.
Yeah.
Nobody bats 1,000%, you know, so it's not, you don't make 100% of the shots. So I'm going to miss a few, and that goes across every part of my decision making. But if I fundamentally believe in the decisions that are helping the firm, helping the employees, and I'm going to get them right, I'm going to stick with those odds of 7 out of 10.
I love it. And then you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
Exactly.
you're doing something right. And that's wisdom grounded in experience. There's a difference. And it's powerful. It's a powerful reminder that while markets change, principles don't, especially when it comes to leadership under pressure. Okay, now, so let's moving on to the last but not least, well, it is for today, the IPO culture. Is it dead or is it just evolving, right? This has been a question everyone's asking. So according to Ernst & Young, IPO activity dropped 30% year over year globally in 2023, and that's partially due to valuation gaps and economic uncertainty and tighter monetary policy. Some say the era of IPO glamour is just simply over. So, Sagar, from your seat, has IPO culture flatlined, or are we just seeing the evolution of how companies raise capital in a more disciplined, maybe even a smarter way?
Yeah, I think there's a headline. That's a great question, great thought. I think there's the headline version of IPOs and then what happens day to day at all these investment banks. I think media might tend to focus on the flagship IPOs, the unicorn IPOs, and there have been a number of those this year in 2025 already. However, don't forget about the thousands of transactions that happen outside of just the initial public offering.
Right.
Follow-on offerings, block trades, secondary offerings, ATMs. There are pipes. There's a number of ways companies can raise capital, and I think IPO is one part of it. But I think capital markets, Roth believes capital markets is fruitful, and I think we're still going to have a robust pipeline for the second half of the year. And there are a lot of companies that need to raise capital for various different reasons. And I believe that our investors are going to find sources of alpha through that asset class of capital markets in general, maybe not just single-handedly IPOs.
Well, we are at the end of our date, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Always a pleasure and wonderful being here at the New York Stock Exchange.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
For more on Roth Capital Partners, you can visit roth.com. This is Zen Sam's live from the New York Stock Exchange right here at Fintech TV.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by Fintech TV.
Fintech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In CO2 Lift's Going Deep Express segment, New York City dermatologist Dr. Amy Lewis breaks down CO2 Lift as one of her go-to simple and affordable treatments.
CO2 Lift mask is a carboxy mask, which you put on, and it actually increases the oxygenation and hydration into your skin. And you put it on, mix it for a minute, put it on for like 45 minutes to an hour. And if you do this a couple times, maybe even a series of 3, you'll have so much more hydration and health to your skin from the oxygenation. They've actually done biopsies and studies showing this, by the way. So it's really, it's not just a hearsay, it's a scientifically proven treatment. It's inexpensive, easy to do. We give it to you in the office, you do it at home.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxy therapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In the Brain Blueprint Express segment, Joanne Esquerelli, the mother of 3 neurodivergent children, shares her life-changing journey with world-renowned brain researcher and clinician, Dr. Robert Melillo, and his Melillo method.
My journey with autism started on July 23rd, 2014. My second son, at that time I only had 2 children, was diagnosed as profoundly autistic. He was 2. And we had tried everything under the sun. We went to so many different doctors all over the US and internationally. We were, I could say, desperate to try to bring him to what we thought would be typical, what we felt that he was originally before age 2. And also to give my oldest son, who's only a year and a half older, a brother that he can interact with. We did try brain balance. We tried to go there and get evaluated when he was 4, which was in 2016, but he was too severe to be taken in at that time. So we kind of let it drop. And so that's, of course, part of the Melillo method. We read the book, Disconnected Kids, back in 2016. But again, we were told he was too severe. So we moved on. We tried other doctors, other therapies. I had a daughter a few years later. And then fast forward, I had Julian, my youngest, in 2018. So 2 years later, 3 years later, he's now diagnosed as perhaps moderately to, if not severely autistic. He was about 3 years old. There was no speech. And then my husband took it upon himself to start to research Dr. Melillo specifically. And he found that there's an office that's about an hour and a half to 2 hours from our home. So we started with Julian, started the Melillo method. We persevered every single day, twice a day. We came here to the office for a full week, intensive therapy with him. And within 2 months, I have a video of Julian bringing me, my car keys and telling me he wanted to go to my mother's house in a full sentence, which was just completely unusual for him. And then from there on out, it was just improvement after improvement. The speech flourished. He started to have a connection with us, to ask questions. And after a full year, and again, another week intensive with Dr. Melillo, I think in 2020, end of 2023 or beginning of 2024, he gets evaluated by the school district and he's now in a gen ed class. With Henrik, it's been certainly more of a struggle. However, we stopped all other therapies. We keep a very clean diet. We have focused on the Melillo method. And I have seen, again, baby steps, and I think it's because he was 11 when we started. But I have seen baby steps of improvement, more eye contact, more willingness to listen without having sibs, laughing at things that the family's laughing at that, we thought he was never aware of, like jokes, or trying to play with Julian more, trying to play with Lena more. Of course, my oldest son is super patient with him because they were the 2 together the longest, but there's certainly more of a connection with his siblings. He's also more willing to read books. He'll pick out, books that are 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade appropriate about the American Revolution or anything like that. And he'll sit there and he'll read it. And we really feel that he's starting to understand a lot more. His piano playing has just, it's become phenomenal. I can't teach him. I was a teacher myself, but he sits there and he just plays these amazing pieces that I don't know where he's getting this talent from, but it's fun to watch. And I do believe it's partially because of the Melillo method. And then my daughter, who is also a patient here with Dr. Melillo, has a left brain deficit. She wears the red glasses. And initially, before we started 2 years ago, she was very socially unaware. Had a lot of issues with kids in her class for a long time. She just finished 4th grade now, but from kindergarten through 3rd grade, I mean, didn't really have many friends. You know, I would get calls from parents and schools that she's just very handsy or doesn't listen. Her grades were way below average. But again, not autistic, not diagnosed autistic like the boys. Certainly different kind of handicap, if you will. But as we did the Melillo method with her as well, so we do it with all 3 children twice a day, I have seen her grades improve tremendously. She went from a way below average student to just slightly below average, if not average and slightly above average in some of her testing. She's more socially aware. She certainly keeps her hands to herself, doesn't touch the kids as much as she used to in the past. She seems to be forging better friendships. And I believe that if we continue with this, she's just going to become more typical with her friends and with her academics. The testament is to Dr. Melillo. He's recovered my child for me. I can't thank him enough. I owe my kids' lives to him at this point. So it's just something I'm super appreciative for, because I couldn't find the answers anywhere else.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Disconnected Kids, Reconnected Families is a documentary-style reality series providing an in-home look at families who have children in need of intervention for conditions ranging from behavioral issues and oppositional defiance to autism and ADHD. Watch as Dr. Robert Melillo and his wife Carolyn go into the home and get real with the families. Using decades of experience, they help families not only face the issues head-on, but also overcome their challenges and reconnect as a family. Exclusively on Your Home TV network.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Hi, I'm Emily Hayden. I'm the host of the Evolve with Emily podcast, personal coach and mentor. Now, we've all had those seasons in our life where it feels like nothing is working out. You don't get the job, the relationship doesn't work out, and it feels like the things around you are crumbling. This can feel like a very disempowered place to be in if you have the core belief and if it's part of your language and thought process that nothing works out for me and the world is against me. I know that it can feel that way when you are just getting disappointment after disappointment, but let me tell you why. You allowing that to be a part of your language and your thought process is actually keeping you stuck in this disempowered place. So today I'm here to help you move into an empowered place that can create a different reality for yourself. Now, the way that we can do that is by shifting that belief that nothing works out for me to now having this affirmation and belief that everything is always working out for me. What this does is it spikes curiosity and a potential hope for the future. So in a real life example, it would look like you don't get the job or you get fired from the job. One way of navigating that in a disempowered place would be nothing ever works out for me. This always happens. And that feels heavy. It feels frustrating. And being in a heavy, frustrated place is not going to allow you to take positive, inspired action. Now, you could go through the same exact example of losing the job and instead say, wow, I wonder how this is working out for me, because you have the core belief it's always working out for me. And now you're curious and you're interested. I wonder how. I wonder what is next for me. I wonder what this is preparing me for. I wonder why space is being created in my life right now. I wonder what incredible job opportunity I'm going to get next. And I wonder how the job that I just had actually prepared me for where I'm going next. So you see how simply a shift in your thought process and your beliefs can create an entire different thought process, which allows you to show up differently for yourself. It allows you to show up in an empowered, excited, curious place. Your energy truly does dictate the way you think, the way you speak, and the way that you show up in your own life. So today, I hope that you guys will really think and analyze, am I in a disempowered place or am I in an empowered place? And if you're in a disempowered place, we've all been there, but now this is your opportunity to check yourself. What are those root beliefs, those core beliefs that you have that are dictating the way that you see what it is that you're going through? And could you invite yourself into more of an empowered place so that you can take inspired, aligned action and get excited, curious, and hopeful for your future. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you'd like to check me out on the podcast platforms, just search Evolve with Emily. Have a wonderful day.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. We are at the end of our date. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're live on Traverse TV's Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a free download. You can go directly on the App Store, Traverse TV. On YouTube, we upload Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern via digital streaming. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on your home TV digital streaming platform. You can head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. No downloads needed. Free programming to you, family friendly. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make the show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.